refuse to move in with my fiance's family again. I'd rather leave him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm imagining like the family from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah,
4 grandparents, 1 bed.
Too much. For starters, this is mostly for advice and to rant a little because I'm tired and I can't take this anymore. I want to know genuinely if I am being crazy and a witch or not. And sorry, this is going to be a long one. I, 23 female, and my fiance, 27 male, have been together for 5 years, and I had chased him for 6 months before we officially got together. Story for another time. Lot to unfold there. Please send it in. By the way, this comes from DarkyMoo01 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, in the past, I've always had a bad relationship with my significant other's parents from the start. Either I wasn't good enough or smart enough, not their type of pretty, etc. So when I knew I liked this man and he was going to introduce me to his family, I was nervous that they wouldn't like me for another thing that I can't control and this relationship wouldn't work. Oh, and I didn't mention before, but I am a textbook people pleaser. So when I met his family and mother, and they all seemed to like me, I was relieved to finally feel welcomed by a family that could potentially be my in-laws, and it really gave me the confidence to go forward with this relationship and focus on us and not why his family hated me for once. So about a year into our relationship, things hit a snag. His ex-wife tried coming back.
Uh-oh.
I had a miscarriage. And some other things, it's a lot not that relevant. It's more like character building. Moving on. Oh my goodness. And when we got through that, the vid hit and everything shut down. Wow. That's when it started. His family wanted to move, and since we were living in a mother-in-law suite on the property, we had 2 choices from here. Find our own place ASAP or help them get the house on the market and move, and we could move with them. I hated the place I grew up, so naturally when he said that he would like to move in with them, I agreed. On one condition. The place they were looking at was a building with 2 living residences, and a hall with 4 big rooms, 2 bathrooms, a laundry room, but it is halfway across the country from my family. I have never been more than 30 minutes from my family, and the thought of being so far from them scared me beyond belief, but I love this man and want to start a life with him wherever he chooses to be. The condition was that we got one of the living residences if we helped his parents sell the house and move there, to which they agreed. So the plans were set into motion, and it took us quite a bit longer than we preferred to sell the house. The reason being, his mom. She had no sense of urgency once things were in motion to get the house ready to go on the market, and when it came time to pack, they waited until the very last second possible to pack, making things way more chaotic than they needed to be, considering that it was her idea to move in the first place. To add to that, we caravanned in 3 cars down to the new place in the middle/end of May, so it was hot, and my fiance's car didn't have AC. That would have been fine had our predicted 2-day drive not taken us a week to get down there. Why is it that you might ask? Well, you guessed it, his mom, yet again. She insisted that we stopped and find a hotel the second the sky started changing colors because the sun was getting ready to set, and in the morning, instead of leaving bright and early, we all had to go get something to eat per her wishes, and we never actually got back on the road until after 9 most days. Now, mind you, everyone else was fine because their cars had working AC, so they had no problems on the ride. My fiance and I, however, had 3 cats in the back, a car full of our stuff, and no AC in 98 degrees. Wow, is that safe? That does not feel safe.
If you get the windows open, might be all right.
I was stuck in traffic one time, like stopped in traffic in the heat, and my car didn't have AC, and then I got to work and I almost fainted. So I'm worried about these guys and those cats. So we did not like wasting all this time not driving when they knew that we would be miserable, and so would the cats. I love my cat like she's family and got rather annoyed that after the 3rd day of stopping before the sunset and still being over 500 miles out, I was continuously being told that we don't have time to find a pet-friendly hotel. So by the time we got here, I wasn't letting the cats go out as much to go to the bathroom and eat and drink because I just wanted to get to our new place and let them free.
Let them be free.
I'm so worried about these cats right now. Turned out that we had to wait for the realtor to show us the place, then was informed that we couldn't get in there right away, resulting in us finding another hotel. This time, however, we insisted on finding a pet-friendly hotel because I was tired of not getting any sleep worrying about my cat being locked in my car all night and constantly getting up to check on her. This is where my hatred began to grow. When I unloaded the cats, we had 3 of them in 2 cat crates and a dog kennel. That's what we had when we started packing, and it worked. Don't judge. Also, I won't disclose my pet names because they are very unique, and I don't want my mother-in-law to find this somehow. My cat, let's call her Sassy, was on top of my fiance's brother cat, we'll call him Mike, cat crate with the dog kennel and his sister's cats, fake named June, sitting next to them. Little to my knowledge, Sassy's cat crate had been in the sun the whole ride down, and when I went to pull her out, her pads were scorched.
Oh, no.
Oh. The bottom of the cat crate had melted in the sun because our car had no AC to keep them cool and burned the bottoms of her feet so bad that she couldn't stand up. Dude, I was worried about these cats, man. Oh my goodness.
Are your car windows made out of like magnifying glass? Like what's going on?
Listen,
it's melting?
It's melting. It gets hot in there. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
Jail.
Yeah, to the mom, not to you guys. You guys, you've been worrying. But oh my goodness. I sat with her in the fetal position and cried while his family went and got food and left me to watch the cat, which I had originally agreed to. No hate there. My cat's pads didn't heal right and give her problems even now 3 years later. Oh, and by the way, remember that condition we had agreed upon? We had agreed upon before even helping them sell the house? They lied to us. We were told after a while we were at the hotel that we weren't getting a living residence and instead was getting the biggest room of the hall ones because his brother offered to pay more for the living residence and they were getting the other one. Oh my gosh, so they lost a secret bidding war to his brother for this like living residency thing. Oh my goodness. So, mind you, we downsized from a house worth of stuff to an apartment worth of stuff before moving and now have boxes of stuff that we can't put away because we live in a room.
Yeah, like this is all so bad.
Yeah.
This is awful.
Yeah. This is crazy. Important note moving forward, my parents followed me a few months later. This ended up being a blessing as the events following would have been heck had I not had them within walking distance. Now, fast forward to about 1.5 years living there, I accidentally got pregnant. This was not something my fiance and I wanted for a few years down the road and were not financially stable enough for at the time, so the only person I told was my mom. My fiance was working out of state and I didn't have a license, so while he was against it, we both knew I had to in order to get my doctor's appointments. I hadn't told her, though, until I was 3 months because, honestly, I denied I was for 3 months until she had mentioned it to me that I needed to go take a test since I was always so sick and had no real energy. Wow, mother's intuition. She just knows. She just gets you.
She's like, sick, no energy, baby.
Well, my fiance and I, although we didn't necessarily hide the fact that I was expecting, we also had no urgency to tell his family either. A real a-hole move of us, but this would have been both of our first child, and neither of us were actually ready to accept the fact that this was happening quite yet. After another month of hiding it from my dad, however, by constantly wearing hoodies and baggy clothes, even though I didn't show until I was 8 months, he had suspicions, and eventually I told him. He promised to keep it a secret, but that ate at me that now both of my parents knew and his didn't. So I told him it wasn't my place to tell them as I was the one who told my parents, so he needed to tell his, but that he shouldn't really wait. He advised me that waiting was the best course of action as he wasn't home to defend me or stick up for me had things turned when they found out. Oh boy, was he right about that. He had about 1.5 weeks in between his work, so he flew back to be with me and fix his car so that I could drive it there. Was there ever an emergency where I needed to. His brother and I helped him with it. At this time, I was about 6-ish months pregnant and still not really showing, but wearing a hoodie at 98 degrees regardless.
Oh, that's
back again.
That's showing though.
Yeah, right?
That's showing.
That's yeah. This stood out as odd to his brother, who then told me I shouldn't be wearing a jacket in 98-degree weather, and my panicked response to him was, I feel fat today. This was a giveaway as I almost never eat and am 130 pounds. I have never really been self-conscious about my weight, and he knew that. So he later confronted my fiance to ask him what was wrong with me, as this was not the first time that he's seen me wearing hoodies outside in crazy high temperatures. Yeah, even if it's not pregnancy, it could be like, is she okay? Like, is she just depressed or something like that? Like, what's going on? So he told him and asked if he could help keep me comfortable while he's working, as he doesn't really talk to my parents much, but knows that it's been hard for them being the only ones who know about it, and takes me to appointments and such. He agreed, and honestly, his brother is a saint for defending me when his mom eventually found out. I don't remember exactly how she found out, but one day I was just chilling in my room with my cat being all pregnant, and then the next I was packing my bags and sneaking out while his mom was grocery shopping because she had kicked me out for not telling her I was pregnant.
Oh, that's a great reason to kick somebody out and not at all a psychotic thing to do to somebody.
Yeah.
Especially after you lie to them about the nature of the place that they're moving to in the first place.
You lied about this little human you're carrying that will be my grandchild. So now I don't want you here. I feel like that the opposite needs to happen. It's like, we need to get you a better space to live in because you have a baby coming. I went to stay with my parents in their spare room while my fiance was working and dealing with his mom, trying to get her to see how unreasonable she was acting. She then proceeded to tell him that what I had done by not telling her was hurtful. Yes, it was. I'll give her that. One. Shame on us. And that I had robbed her of being a grandmother. What? You're still going to be a grandmother. You just didn't know about it. It's just a surprise. I was only 6 months pregnant. My baby wasn't even born yet. So how I did that, I will never know. I then stayed with my parents for about 2 months until he came back from work and I was allowed to come home to talk things through. Well, get this. Get this. While I was gone at my parents', she had been busy. His older sister, who didn't move with us originally and was still living back in our hometown, hadn't gotten word of my pregnancy from either of us because we honestly weren't planning on telling really anyone until the baby was born. So naturally, his mother painted me out to be a monster. She claimed that my mother and I had hid the pregnancy from my fiance until I was 3 months pregnant, then forced him to lie to everyone about it, and was secretly planning on taking the baby away from him.
What the what?
Oh my goodness. None of that was remotely true, as I didn't even know or have concrete proof that I was pregnant until I was 3 months pregnant. This is not the only lie she told. She also had the pleasure of crying to our neighbors of how she would never get to see her grandbaby as I was selfish and would keep her from them. Girl, you're the one that literally kicked her out of your place. She also had his dad, who was working with him, trying to convince him while they were up there that he should take the baby and leave me. I didn't know about any of this until after I had come back to the house to talk it over with her and move back in. She agreed that she overreacted by kicking me out, but then followed her apology with but hiding something like that from me when you knew how excited I was to be a grandma and I saw you like a daughter, so I felt so betrayed. To this day, I have never gotten a proper apology from her kicking me out like that. Fast forward to our baby's birth. For a little history, my mother can't give birth naturally. All my siblings and I were C-sections. My sister, who only has one kid, also had to have a C-section. I wanted to give birth naturally. I am also terrified of hospitals and surgery, so hearing from my doctor hours into labor that my baby wasn't tolerating labor and it was becoming dangerous and gave me the opportunity to discuss having a C-section or trying to continue. And if things were still continuing like they were, we would have to go into an emergency C-section, which was the worst thing imaginable to me. I cried for about an hour to my fiance before we decided it was best for our baby to go ahead with the C-section, as emergency C-sections often have complications and can be a lot of stress and very scary. This, however, led to a 3-day stay in the hospital, my nightmare, and people coming to visit us during those 3 days, his mom being one of them.
Ugh.
We can all imagine what kind of problems that would bring. When she came to visit, she had seemed to have a different attitude towards me than she had before. I thought maybe seeing the grandchild her son and I created made her forget all that we had previously beefed about and flipped a new leaf. But this was not the case, for as soon as she heard the name, she flipped out again, saying that we only named our child that because we know that she hates names that start with that letter. What?
It's not about you, lady.
She then proceeded to storm out before getting to hold her grandchild and dragged his little sister out with her, even though that she was saying that she wanted to stay and see the baby. Fast forward some more to now when my baby is a year old, and overall mother-in-law has been a surprisingly good grandmother to my baby. There has been little things here and there that we have had to remind her that we don't want our child copying or learning, but overall it has been nice not having to worry about my baby's health and happiness while I'm working. I have a full-time job and have since my baby was 4 months old. I don't pay for daycare because my parent or my fiance's parents are always available, and so is my fiance. I am having him take a break from working to form a bond with our child before he eventually does go back and leaves us for months at a time. Between working and taking care of my baby, I am never home or out of my room much to interact with his family. This has resulted in me being left out of the family decision making. And so I was not too thrilled when I learned from his mom that she wanted to move everyone again across the country to Alaska. I hate the cold. I always have. So I naturally said I didn't like Alaska. She then blew me off saying that it was a gorgeous property and big enough so that we could have our own house on it and I could be there to help her with her farm animals and greenhouse while the men went to work.
I'm just a psycho, but like Alaska is so beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
And I
Good
like,
old
but
10-hour
and
days.
my thing is I like the snow as well, and it's like you know what? The dark part of this is that in the future, I'm like, it's probably gonna be really good to be in a place where there's not a lot of people. But I don't want to get into that. Yeah, but again, it's if you can't handle the cold, like if OP doesn't like the cold, so it's like no, you could not do that.
Yeah, girl.
I'm a snowboarder. Like I can cope with the cold.
Yeah, going from these 98-degree days to snow all the time.
Yeah, that's
big change.
Huge
Big change.
180.
I figure that this is just her being her since she doesn't work and doesn't really leave the house, so she was just daydreaming and window shopping. I'm not going to lie, I do it too when I see a house come on the market in my area. But then, to my surprise, when I brought it up to my fiance, he already knew about this plan to move to Alaska and hadn't even talked to me about it. Uh-oh, that's no good. I was upset because he knew how much my family meant to me and knew that they would not follow me to Alaska, and even more upset that he didn't think to consult me about it when he found out. That's a great point. You gotta talk about moving to Alaska with your wife.
Yeah, it's like it's a crazy. I don't understand that family dynamic of being like, and now we all live in Alaska.
Yeah, like what's that?
Because that's my idea.
What is that
it's
about?
Like, how about no?
How about what? By the way, you know what you guys could always move to?
Yeah, you can move straight to your podcast platform of choice.
Your favorite podcast app. Yeah, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
That's right. Anywhere.
Pick
Even
one.
YouTube. YouTube has a podcast section.
Would you look at that? And you can search OK Storytime, and you can live there for how many days do we have content?
52, my favorite area.
2 days. Anywho, there is a little bit more of the story, but do we have any little thoughts before we finish this guy up?
I mean, like, yeah, you don't have to stand for these people, like, deciding how you're going to live your life.
Yeah, the whole family does not need to live together.
Yeah.
Even, like, with the trip over here, I was kind of thinking, like, why do you guys need to have the same, like, driving schedule? Can't you guys, if you're taking 3 cars, can't you guys be like, hey, we're going to stay in this hotel. We're not going to go to lunch or dinner or breakfast or whatever. We're going to go straight there.
Yeah,
okay?
you come up with a plan, and then you're like, all right, we meet here by this time.
Like,
and then you can go do your detour, do whatever.
Exactly.
I fully recommend if you do a long-distance road trip, plan out a week and a half. Plan out, how... Take your time, because then you can like go see. It's so fun to like drive around and like find all these cool, weird little places you'd never go to before, and it's like, it's a great experience.
After all,
take your time.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
The journey is the destination, man.
But there is a little bit more. So I started a fight about it because I'm kind of emotional about things I feel I can't control, and he made me feel like I had to move with them by not talking to me about it. I ended the argument by yelling at him that I would sooner leave him than move with his family again. Everything about moving is just up in the air right now, and nothing has been set into motion, but am I the a-hole for telling him that? Wow, that was like full circle back to the title of that.
Yeah.
That's the end of the story, but what do we think?
I don't think you're an a-hole.
Yeah.
I think it's like, that's very reasonable.
Listen, because you could, describe it in the way where it's like, I never, ever want to leave you. So I would sooner do that than move to Alaska. You know what I mean? So if I really, really never, ever want to leave you, you can only imagine how much I do not want to move to Alaska.
Right. It's like, this is like a dude, like your family has like systematically like, dude, they kicked me out while I was pregnant. I'm not living with these people.
Yeah. I got to stay with my
pregnant
parents.
with your child.
Yeah, because literally when she got kicked out, she had to go stay with her parents. What is she going to do if something like that happens again? And she's alone in Alaska and he's off, working 3 months.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's like, maybe he doesn't get it because he has that, that distance, that separation from his job.
And maybe he doesn't get treated the same way from his mom, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I don't think the a-hole. He probably could have taken it a little far and he probably, could be offended by it. And you can apologize, but just explain it. Just explain it and hopefully you're able to do it in a just calmer tone. Hopefully you both are.
Yeah. I mean, if he's offended, it's like you got to be like, yeah, you could see how much it must have taken for me to get to this point.
Yeah, yeah. Show him this Reddit post. Show him all the comments. I'm sure those usually tend to
be very nice,
convince people
and thoughtful.
Yeah. But yeah, no, not the a-hole. Let us know in the chat. What do we think?